And really, I promise you, you ask your clients those two questions when it comes to long-term care and you will pique their interest. Or at the very least, they will ask you for clarity on what you mean by the old types of long-term care versus the new types of long-term care. Now, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I will tell you what I would tell you, and I'll tell you what I would tell the clients, right? What I would tell you is $100,000, for instance, going into this product turns into $300,000 immediately from a benefit pool standpoint. But then that $300,000 over the benefit pool is taken out over a 6-year period of time. No faster than a 6-year period of time. Now, if I tell the client what I just told you, his or her eyes would roll in the back of their head. They would pass out. They would have a long-term care event right there on the spot, right? So what would I tell the client? What I would tell the client is Mrs. Client, here's the thing. I would first of all mute my phone if I were talking to a real client. But I would first of all tell the client, hey, listen, your $100,000 that we're talking about here, you put that pie into the oven. So your $100,000 is going into the oven. That's a pie, right? That's $100,000. And that is going into an annuity. So the great thing about an annuity is it's not a if you don't use it, you lose it proposition, right? Are there surrender charges with this? Yes. Various periods of these types of annuities, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. But if you want your money back eventually, you can have that, assuming you didn't take all of your money out of the policy. If you pass away, that money goes to the beneficiary. Does that annuity grow? Yes, your pie grows while it's in the oven. It cooks while it's in the oven, right? It can grow anywhere from 2.5% up to 3%. Keep in mind, there is a long-term care expense deducted every month, which I would argue is a fraction of what it would many times cost in order for the same long-term care coverage. But in short, you're putting a pie into the oven immediately with very little underwriting. Immediately, that pie is turning into 2 other pies just like it. What's happening is your pie is tripling. That oven did something magical to where your pie is turning into 3 pies. So now you have $300,000 from a benefit standpoint, from a benefit pool standpoint. Now, how do you get access to that $300,000? Because it seems too good to be true, right? It would be too good to be true if the insurance carrier said you can take all of that $300,000 and just cash it out. Well, you can't. And this is not too much of an ask that the insurance company has of you. There are 2 different asks. There are actually a lot, but 2 primary asks. The first one is the benefit trigger. The benefit trigger is that you cannot do 2 activities of daily living for a 90-day period of time or are severely cognitively impaired, right? That's not anything outrageous. That's pretty common in the long-term care space. The second ask is this. You cannot take all 3 of your pies out of the oven at once, right? The insurance carrier says that you can take out half of each of those pies, starting with your pie first, half of each of those pies, which means that with this particular product, this particular oven, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Now, for the mathematicians that's listening, 300,000 divided by 6, that is $50,000 benefit pool annually that can be taken out of this policy. And by the way, as long as there is still pie left, you can still eat. You just cannot eat it any faster than 50% of a pie at a time. I hope that makes sense. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If I tell my wife that her face can stop a clock, I'm going to get a different reaction than if I tell my wife that when I look at her, time stands still, right? The way that I talk with you and the way that I talk with a client are 2 completely different things. So I hope this makes sense to you. Now let's move on to